Hi, my name is Jen Collins. I am a wealth advisor and certified financial planner with River Wealth Advisors in Central Pennsylvania. I'm excited to introduce my video series, Dream.Plan.Do. In the series, we will be talking with women who will share their stories about how they turn their dreams into reality. I hope the series inspires you to turn your dream into a goal by giving it a deadline. Dream.Plan.Do. These women did, so can you. Today I'm delighted to be joining Rebekah Morgan of Morgan Pilates in New Cumberland, PA. Thank you for joining me today, Rebekah.
Thanks for coming.
The space is great. They have a lot of really cool equipment that kind of almost looks torture chamber-ish. But I'm sure it's a lot of fun. So I'll start off by asking you, what was your why? Why Pilates?
I started out doing Pilates just as my own fitness for years. And then I worked in physical therapy, and I started out just doing mat, and I didn't know anything about the equipment. And there was a local Pilates instructor in town who sent out marketing information to the physical therapy place where I worked. And so I started doing equipment lessons with her. And after I had done a couple months worth, I realized that my back pain was better, my neck pain, because I had a head injury when I was a child. And I was using things I learned in Pilates with my physical therapy patients, and they were understanding more, and it was working. So that year for continuing education, I did Pilates as a certification. And as soon as I had been certified, the local instructor decided she was moving to New York City.
Wow.
And I just felt like I had to continue, and so I made the decision overnight, that I had to buy equipment and start teaching Pilates as a job. And I just did it really for fun. And then I got busier, and the situation where I was at wasn't great landlord-wise, and I started looking around town, and I found this old bank building, and I decided just to make it more a career.
So just overnight you decided to leave a 9-to-5 job that provided security and to start your own business. Was that something you had always thought about doing?
I really hadn't. I never thought I'd have my own business. I didn't have confidence in myself at the time. And I had a lot of people who believed in me. And I think over time, I just really loved Pilates, and it was a passion of mine. So even though I was scared, I still did it. And the more I worked on the certifications, I got more confidence in myself. And one of the breaking points was when I went down to a master certification in Texas, and I realized how far I'd come.
Yeah.
And that was the start of it just a few years ago, when I felt I really knew what I was doing finally.
And how long have you had the studio?
15 years.
15 years, which was a few years ago that it was that aha moment of,
yeah, because in Pilates,
wow, I'm good at this.
yeah, in Pilates you're always getting better. You're always searching for the answers.
Right.
So it doesn't matter how many certifications you do. It's like the next day you're like, oh, now I learned something new. So you're just a constant student.
Yeah.
But I had some people say some really nice things about me when I went to that certification, so that helped.
Yeah.
But I think just being a constant student and always wanting to learn more is something I love about Pilates, and my own business also.
Yeah. Yeah. So does your background in physical therapy, does that come into play at all with your clients?
It does, because I have a lot of clients with chronic pain, and they come to me sometimes as a last resort.
Right.
So I have to help them understand how to do the exercises. And sometimes they can't do the original Pilates sequence, so I have to get them to the point where they can do that. And my knowledge in anatomy and knowing the problems that they're coming with is going to help. And it also helped just in my certifications that I could focus on learning Pilates because I already knew the anatomy.
Right. Yeah, so that definitely helps. So your studio, do you work with just individual clients? Do you have classes?
I teach private lessons mainly at this point, mostly because of COVID.
Right.
And I teach duets. I have small groups, no more than 4 people at a time.
Okay. And speaking of COVID, how did that impact what you were doing pre-COVID? So did that make a huge change for you?
It just got me busier because I had to close my studio for 3 months. I taught out of my house on Zoom, and some of those clients loved doing the Zoom classes. So when I came back to the studio and opened up, I'm teaching in-person sessions, but I'm also doing Zoom lessons between those sessions.
Wow.
So,
but that's great that your business was able to sustain through all of that and change and grow. That's exciting.
yeah, it really was.
Yeah. So as a business owner, is there any advice that you would give other women who are thinking about making that leap, either to business ownership or even a shift in their careers? You went from physical therapy to Pilates, which sounds related, but isn't a direct correlation. Is there any advice you would offer women who are thinking about it, or maybe like you were lacking confidence?
I would say that if you're passionate about something and you're willing to put in a lot of hard work, don't worry about the details in the beginning. Just go for it, because your passion, your love for it is going to carry you through.
Yeah. I think that's where a lot of successful businesses and business owners find is the passion is the big piece. And then perseverance and pride in what you do is the other pieces that you need to have to make it successful. So definitely the passion piece is important. So what do you see for Morgan Pilates in the next 5 years? Do you have plans to expand or change your service offerings?
I don't have any plans to really change what I do with Pilates because I love it. I've recently purchased some new machines that are the best you can get. So that was something I did in the last few years. But I would like to go and get certified for yoga because I love yoga. You know, I used to do it all the time. I think my clients would love to do a little bit of a mix. So that's something I'd like to do in the future, even maybe this year.
Wow. More certifications and more education.
Yeah.
That's great. Is there any advice you would give your younger self?
Definitely not to worry as much.
Yeah.
You know, I just had anxiety about things over the years. You know, just day-to-day things or planning. And I just feel like it all worked out. So I would tell myself that.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Don't sweat the small stuff.
Yeah.
That seems to be a resounding theme with the business owners I've been talking to is, you know, don't worry so much. Mm-hmm. You'll figure out how to make it work. So,
right.
Yeah, that's good advice. So Rebekah, what would you tell someone who has heard of Pilates but maybe not ever done Pilates or doesn't know much about it? What can you tell us about, you know, what it is, what it can do for you as far as making you healthier?
I have found that a lot of people, when they hear Pilates, think that it's something to make you skinny. Because it started in the dance community, or it kind of extrapolated into the dance community. And I'd like to just tell those people that that's not what it's all about. It's about vitality and enhancing your life. And it just makes you feel better and stronger and more flexible so that you can do things in your life that you couldn't do before, or that you can continue to do the things that you do now for many years to come. So it's more about aging gracefully than it is about fitting into your skirt or, you know, looking good for the next party. Yeah,
I think that's important. It's so important to take the more healthy approach to how you're deciding to do your exercise and your activities, not just your eating and all of that. And that most of the fitness routines now are focused more on being healthy rather than being skinny.
Yeah, and that's great.
Yeah, I think it's important to do that. And what would you say to beginners? I mean, are your classes geared more for a beginner or for someone who has experience, or do you work with all ranges of experience?
I work with everyone, and Pilates meets you where you're at that day. So wherever you're at, you do the best you can for that day. And even if you know Pilates and you're having a good day or a bad day, You just do your best for that day. And so you're just in competition with yourself for that day, not the day before. So if you're a beginner, you just do what you can do, and the next day you can do a little bit more. And if you're advanced, sometimes it's not about doing a harder exercise, but it's about deepening the work inside yourself and understanding how to do it, breathing with less, more ease and less effort.
That makes sense. So that's great. You can work with all different, and you had mentioned that duets, so couples could come together, or mother-daughter, or different.
Your husband and wife doesn't always go the best.
Yeah, that's probably a little more competitive than you want it to be.
It takes a good marriage to do Pilates together. But something about Pilates that I don't think people would know is that it helps your mental capacity. So it's so good for your concentration and for relaxing you mentally, because when you're here, it's hard to think about other things.
Right, you're focused on
what you're doing.
Trying to get your body to do, yeah.
And the actual movement of the machine helps the circulation in your brain, helps your craniosacral fluid, and it helps all of your fluids in your body. So it's your digestion, it's your breathing, it's your joints, your synovial fluid, all get massaged during Pilates.
Oh, that's great. That's really interesting too.
Yeah.
So Rebekah, it's just you. You run the studio, you run the business, it's just you. So what drives you every day to keep going? Because you can't call it in.
I've always loved helping people, and even when I was younger, that was something that gave me motivation in life. And I think just the fact that I'm helping people every day, and they're all very appreciative, I think that's what helps me to keep going, and just because I enjoyed so much.
Yeah.
I love Pilates, I don't get bored, and I have the gift of gab and strong abs, so that's what you need to become a Pilates instructor.
That's great. Yeah, I think it's definitely a calling to be able to interact with people and help people all day, every day. Thank you so much for letting us come into your studio today and for sharing your passion about Pilates.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for coming. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, this has been great. If you want to learn more about Morgan Pilates, you can find her on Facebook, Morgan Pilates LLC. To learn more about River Wealth Advisors and to follow the video series, visit riverwealthadvisors.com. Until next time.